Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mack Story.
Hello again, everyone. Thanks for stopping by the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today and listening to this talk on my book, Blue Collar Leadership and Culture, the 5 components for building high-performance teams. If you've been following along, this series started back at episode 179. Today, we're on part 14 of 30, talking about chapter 14, which is actually the final chapter in the leadership development component of the transformation equation that we talked about back in chapter 6. Chapter 14 is titled Becoming a Transformational Leader. And I shared this quote that I'm about to share. It's my quote, but it's the subtitle of this chapter. And I shared it on the previous episode, I believe. But again, the title of this chapter, Becoming a Transformational Leader. The subtitle, Leaders are always teaching what they're modeling, regardless of what they're teaching. Doesn't matter what you're teaching, it matters what you're doing. You've heard the thing, people, or John Maxwell says people do what people see. Actions speak louder than words. You hear all these things, but that's exactly what we're talking about. Leaders are always teaching what they're modeling, regardless of what they're teaching. That's why part of my focus as I began my transformation in 2008, one of the things I knew was going to be my competitive advantage because, I get to decide. I get to decide who I'm going to be, how I'm going to be. I knew where I come from. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew there's a lot of people already out there doing what I want to do. Personal growth and leadership development at a high level. That's what I want to do. I want to do it in the blue-collar industries with the blue-collar workforce. Actually, if you know my taglines, blue-collar leadership, I got that registered first, and then I got helping leaders engage the front line to improve the bottom line. Got that registered. How do I do that? By developing the blue-collar workforce, those who lead them, and those who support them. So I got that registered as well now. But that's what I want to do. And what I knew I was going to get to do was I get to decide how am I going to model. See, that's what's cool. There's a lot of people teaching the same exact thing that I'm teaching. I told my son Eric when I really, in 2012, when I knew I'm about to go do this, about to do what I'm doing now. So now it's been 8 years. I knew what was going to be my competitive advantage. It was going to be the degree that I live what I'm teaching you. That's why I quit drinking. I actually like drinking. But it's an example of me modeling sacrifice and giving up stuff so I can go up. Improving my character. I'm not going to judge you. You may not want to do what I want to do. But if you want to get better, you figure out in your life what you need to give up to get better. But see, I want to do what I'm doing at a high level. And a lot of people teach the same stuff. But I'm telling you, you get out there and you learn from other people who teach what I teach. And you actually start getting to know these people. See, there's people, I read their books. And then later I'll actually meet them or learn a little bit about them or see their social media profile. And all of a sudden, I really don't want to learn from those people anymore. Because I start to see that the character, they're not living and modeling what they're teaching. They're just teaching it. They're just trying to make money. I'm trying to model it. I'm trying to live it. I'm trying to live and teach what I'm teaching you right here. That's why I quit using profanity. I didn't have to. I chose to. Because there's a lot of people who teach what I'm teaching you, they haven't given up profanity. Some of them have millions of followers and make millions of dollars because there's a lot of people who want to follow somebody like them. And that's fine. But my audience, my perfect client is someone of high character. or someone who wants to develop high character. I don't care. Someone may have terrible character today. They may be doing all kind of bad stuff, but if they truly want to get better, they want to transform themselves, that's who I want to talk to. I don't care where they're at. All I care is, do they truly want to get better? But there's a lot of people, they don't want me modeling in their company, because I really do live this stuff, and I live a lot of stuff at a high degree. I got a ton of work to do. I got stuff I need to change and get better about that I don't even know. That's how this stuff works. I'm going to read another book one day. I'll read a quote and I'll be like, man, I've been messing up on that. I didn't even see it that way. Or I've got to grow a certain amount before I can see what I can't see today. And I'll get better. But that's my competitive advantage. I get to decide how quick do I want to live this stuff that I'm teaching you. And it came pretty quick for me. I gave up a lot of stuff. Rhea joined me and gave up a lot of stuff. She didn't have all the character to work to do that I had to do. She had to improve and change in different ways. She didn't have to do the stuff I had to do. I had to change some major stuff. But see, it becomes a powerful platform because I actually did it. So all the negative stuff I did in the past actually strengthens me today, because I'm so far away from that stuff. And anybody, no matter what you've been through in your life, maybe what mistakes you made, whoever you are today, you can leave that person behind. I'm living proof. So I want to share a quote with you as we talk about becoming a transformational leader. Again, the last section in the leadership development section, the last chapter in that section, I should say. Charles Koch said this: creating a beneficial culture is impossible without mentoring and positive examples. That's why when someone hires me and brings me in, I'm living this stuff. Yeah, I'm going to make mistakes, but I ain't going to make the common mistakes that most people make who teach this stuff. I'm telling you, go check them out in real life, find out who they are. And a lot of times you'll be blown away by some people who teach this kind of content, who they really are. The need for culture transformation can be driven by one or more key factors. Think about this. The need for culture transformation can be driven by one or more key factors: organizational growth, toxic organizational culture, poor top-level leadership, industry or technology changes, or poor management, or even a lack of succession planning for an aging workforce. Lots of reason that culture transformation is needed. See, transformation in general is a change in form, appearance, or character. When I talk about my transformation, I changed my character. And I didn't just change it, I transformed. When you transform, you don't go back. When I quit drinking, I didn't start back drinking. I had quit 100 times before that, but I didn't transform. I had only changed. But I changed back. Once I transform, I don't go back. I'm done. I've outgrown certain things. My character is at a different level. My values have changed. And again, I don't judge you. If you drink, you decide what you want to do. I decided I didn't want to do it to be a good model and a good example for you. Whether you do it or not, I want you to know I chose not to do it. Transformational leaders influence others to change their character and therefore their behavior. See, the key word, influence. That's what leadership is. Leadership is influence. Transformational leaders influence others to change their character. I can't change your character. Only you can do that. Nobody could change my character. Only I could do that. But I mentored myself through these books as I was reading them. I started reading all these books in 2008 from all these different leaders. I mentored myself through their books. It's one reason I write books. A lot of people are going to listen to this podcast. People are going to read my books. I'm never going to meet a lot of the people. I may never meet you. But I may be able to help influence you to change your character and therefore your behavior. Because I'm going to tell you this, when you intentionally change your mind will automatically change your life. It's just the way it works. Transformational leadership requires sacrifice. I talked about that. That's why I was talking about it. It requires sacrifice. I gave up all kind of stuff for people I may never meet. Again, transformational leadership requires sacrifice, character development, time, effort, energy, and putting others ahead of yourself. A lot of people ain't going to give up for themselves, much less somebody else. A lot of people won't sacrifice to improve their own life, much less sacrifice to improve someone else's life. That's what transformational leadership is about. Improving yourself so that you can help others improve themselves. Influence is the essence of leadership, and positive influence is the key to transformational leadership, because we're asking someone to follow us to a place they may have never been, even a place we may have never been. When I started learning all this stuff, I started teaching it to everybody. I was leading Kaizen events and consulting, and I was teaching people all this stuff. And when I first started, I wasn't modeling it very well. Some things I was doing great. Other things I looked like an idiot. I didn't know it then. I'm up there teaching this stuff, and then I go out, party, get drunk with some of the clients because they invite me out to dinner, or we go out and hang out, and stupid stuff I was doing. I can't even imagine me doing that now, but that's what I used to do, and nobody thought anything about it. They had character like my character. I was talking about this stuff, and we was all trying to get better. Nobody thought about it. I wasn't there really to teach leadership. I was just teaching leadership. I was there to do lean manufacturing process improvement, and we got ridiculous results. And when we do a Monday to Friday event, by Thursday we were done. And usually we'd go hang out. We'd go out to dinner and have drinks and celebrate because we had slayed the dragon that week. That was just normal. Nobody thought anything about it. But there's no way on this planet I can imagine myself doing anything like that today, even if I was consulting on lean manufacturing. I might go out and hang out with them, but I ain't going to be the guy I used to be. In my mind now, I was a sad individual, but I'm better now. Remember, you don't have to be sick to get better, but I had a lot of reasons that I need to get better relative to this type character. And I did it for you. I may not ever meet you, but I got better for you so that I could be a better example. And I got a whole lot of benefit out of it. And that was not even the purpose of it. I didn't even know all that was coming. Our ability to coach and develop others, not just in the job competencies, but also on the personal character side, determines if we'll become more than just a competent manager of the job itself, but also a transformational leader of others. See, first of all, there's a lot of bad managers of people out there, but there are also some really good managers of the job. There's people who are really, really good at managing the process, managing the things. The problem is they also manage people. And because a lot of people manage people, people may think they're good managers of people, and they may be. But there's something so much higher than being a good manager of people, and that's becoming a transformational leader of people. There's a massive gap between being a highly effective manager and being a high impact leader. There is a massive gap between those two people. And it's basically based on character. Because a transformational leader in a work environment, they have a lot of competency. They're highly effective relative to competency, but they also have remember I said a high degree of competency. They also have a high degree of character. That's what's missing with a manager of people. Two people can have the same high degree of competency. One of them has a high degree of character. The highest degree, they're going to be a transformational leader. the lowest degree of character but high competency, they're going to be Barney 5. They're going to be bossing people around, directing people, using people to get where they want to go, using people for their own benefit to get promoted and get results. Not going to be developing anybody. So the book that I have to share with you related to this chapter that I mentioned at the end of the chapter, actually in the book, is my book, 10 Foundational Elements of Intentional Transformation. How to become your best self. And I wasn't sure when I wrote, this culture book, Blue Collar Leadership and Culture. I kind of was torn about putting that book in there because that book is how to transform yourself. But this chapter is about how to become a transformational leader. But remember, this leadership development component has 2 parts: development of self and development of others. So if you truly want to be a transformational leader, help others transform, you've got to know how to do it yourself. And I truly believe, that the highest form of transformational leader can only be filled by someone who's truly transformed themselves. Not someone who's just read about it or studied it or researched it, but someone who is an idiot like me and transformed themselves, or someone who was sexually abused like Rhea from age 12 to 19 by her father, and she couldn't communicate socially with other people. Now she writes books on the power of effective communication. Straight Talk's the title of that book. And she writes books. She gets up on stage and speaks and all this kind of stuff. She had to transform herself. I think the highest level of transformational leadership can only be filled by those who've truly transformed themselves. Not those who just changed a little throughout their life. I'm talking about someone who's had major transformation. Let's say you have or you hadn't. That part doesn't matter at this moment, because what I'm telling you is that my book, 10 Foundational Elements of Intentional Transformation, you need to know what's in this book, maybe for yourself. Maybe you've been motivated, inspired by me or someone else, and you truly want to change who you are and how you're living. This book, 10 Foundational Elements of Intentional Transformation, it's a roadmap. It's a mental roadmap, how I actually did it. And I'll just share with you the 10 foundations. Everything's built on our values. That's like the earth. But then we're going to build like a 10-layered pyramid, so to speak, in the 10 foundational layers, right? Thought is the foundation of choice. That thought, again, is based on your values. The values is where everything comes from. But this first foundational layer, thought, is the foundation of choice. The second layer is choice is the foundation of vision. You got a lot of choices, but relative to transformation, I teach you in here, you got to have a vision of transformation. That's just one of the choices you can make, but it's the choice I'm telling you have to make to transform yourself. And then vision is the foundation of hope. Vision gives you hope. And then hope becomes a foundation of sacrifice. When you hope that can happen, you're going to make sacrifices. When I had hope that I could actually do what I wanted to do in this space, it caused me to make the sacrifices I've been sharing with you, and a bunch more I haven't shared with you. And then that sacrifice is not enough by itself, but it becomes the foundation of discipline. I gave up a lot of stuff, but then I had to have discipline to do something effective with my time that I needed to do to get to the next level. So then discipline is the foundation of growth. And it's growth relative to your vision. This book also has 30 chapters, 10 sections, 3 chapters in each section. The first 2 chapters in each section, I'm kind of teaching you. And then the 3rd chapter in each section, I'm sharing part of my personal story about my transformation. So that positive growth relative to your vision becomes the foundation of change. Again, positive change relative to your vision. All these are dependent on the one before it. And then change is the foundation of success. And then there's something higher than success. So success is the foundation of significance. And see, we have to be successful before we can be significant. But significance is about helping other people become successful. And then significance is actually the foundation of legacy. And I don't mean legacy like something you leave for someone. I mean a kind of legacy you leave in someone. When you motivate and inspire someone to change themselves, you're leaving something in them. Like Dr. Covey from the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People author. After I read his book so many times and listened to his videos and his audios, I never met him, but that man left something in me. And you guys are experiencing it every time you hear me talk or every time you read a book. That's his legacy flowing from him through me into you and whoever else reads and learns from me. That's what I'm talking about in that book. So it's a mental roadmap. It applies to anything you want to transform. But let's say you've had a tremendous personal transformation. You just did it. You knew how to do it without ever reading any books. If you learn what's in this book, you're going to be able to teach what's in here. You're going to see you done exactly what's in this book. You may not have called it that. You may not have ever read a book on it, but these are principles. You're going to be able to wrap your story around all these principles. Excuse me. So when you start motivating people to transform, you need this book in your arsenal. You need to know about it. You need to be able to tell them about it. You need to maybe lead a book study on it with your team members. Remember, if you're teaching them this stuff and you modeling it from your life and your stories, take my principles and tell your stories, that's going to be a powerful transformational tool. You may need it yourself, or you may need to introduce it to someone else. That's why I put it in this chapter as a resource to support this chapter on becoming a transformational leader. So I'm going to close with a quote from my friend Amir Ganad again. I mentioned him before. Again, if you don't know about Amir, you can go to theganadgroup.com. That's TheGhanad group, GROUP.com. The Amir Ganad Group. theganadgroup.com. And you can learn about Amir. He came here from Iran when he was 16, I believe, by himself, literally. Couldn't speak English. And he had an amazing life. He probably actually speaks English better than I do. If you know me, you know I'm bilingual. I speak English and country. I'm all right with it. So that's just the way it's going to be. But Amir, he's the one squared away individual. Love him to death. High character. And he models what he's teaching. And I'm going to share a quote with you from him. He says, "We all know, whether we actually practice it or not, that basic respect and courtesy should not depend on the person's title or rank. What we forget sometimes is that it should also not depend on a person's performance. It is possible to share tough feedback and hold low performers to high standards without treating them as lesser human beings. Transformative leaders have the courage to create a culture of accountability and the consideration to treat everyone with dignity and respect, all the way through the performance correction process." Again, that quote was from my friend Amir Ganad, and he's actually got a book that would complement this chapter really well. You definitely need to know how to lead yourself through transformation, which is what I talked to you about, my book, 10 Foundational Elements of Intentional Transformation. But Amir's got a great book. I got a lot of nuggets out of it. That's where this quote come from. The book is titled The Transformative Leader, and highly recommend you to put that on your reading list. And especially if you go through this culture book and you start leading book studies and you get to this level, I still recommend Blue Collar Leadership. Do this culture book with everybody first. Do Blue Collar Leadership next. Do Blue Collar Leadership and Teamwork after that. Do Blue Collar Leadership and Supervision after that. And then you kind of figure out of all the resources I refer to you, other resources you decide where you want to go, but put the Transformative Leader in your toolkit for this chapter. My book and that book together, very powerful relative to becoming a transformational leader. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mack Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mack's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.